Hey guys, Dr. Shook here, and this is another sauna session. I hope you guys are doing well today. Today what I want to talk about is a topic that comes up a lot. I would say the majority of the people that I see have some sort of blood sugar problem. And what very frequently comes up is that someone has either they're pre-diabetic or they're diabetic. And primarily we're talking about type 2 here, but hear me out with this explanation, and you'll see that this has impact on anyone, whether it's type 1, type 2, or they're pre-diabetic. But primarily what I'm referencing here is going to be pre-diabetes and type 2, okay? So people come in and they tell me that they have these blood sugar issues and they have hypothyroidism, but they can't get their blood sugar balanced or regulated, and they want to know if there's a connection. And so here's the thing, if you don't have adequate thyroid hormone activity, okay, or if you're hypothyroid, remember those are two different things. Hypothyroid can be just decreased hormone levels, okay, so decreased thyroid hormone levels that are inadequate, okay, that's hypothyroid. That's how we're going to define it here. Now, decreased ability to utilize the thyroid hormone is another problem, because you can have absolutely normal levels but not be able to utilize the thyroid hormone that is in your bloodstream. And that's what I see the most in practice and with my distance consulting clients, is that people have adequate hormone levels, but they cannot utilize the hormone because they can't transport it. They either can't convert it into T3 appropriately, they can't get it to the cell so the cell can utilize it. So there's breakdowns that are outside of on the second half basically of your thyroid hormone chemistry. And if you're not sure about that, then just reference, I did a whiteboard video where I draw out the entire pathway. If you go to our Facebook page, you go to my practice homepage, you can see that it's one of the first videos there. It's the starting place where you need to begin if you don't understand what I'm talking about as far as how the thyroid physiology can break down. There are about 24 different ways, okay? So they come in, they say, I can't control my blood sugar, they're having a lot of problems with it, and they want to know if the thyroid is connected. And the answer is yes, absolutely. If you don't have adequate thyroid hormone or thyroid hormone activity, then you cannot utilize your blood sugar. And if you cannot utilize your blood sugar, if you can't use it, then what happens is you feel hypoglycemic. You can have symptoms of low blood sugar because you can't use it, right? So if you can't use it, it's the same thing as not having it. You can't get it into the cell, or the cell can't use it. It's the same thing as being hypoglycemic, meaning you don't have enough sugar in your bloodstream. So it's the same exact symptoms. So if you're hypothyroid, you cannot utilize your blood sugar efficiently and effectively. So guess what happens? You have symptoms of hypoglycemia very, very frequently, but your blood sugar, when they draw your blood, your serum glucose, it may look absolutely normal, or you may have like pre-diabetes, or you may have type 2 diabetes, but it can look absolutely normal. And in the most cases, I would say what I see more than not is that there's symptoms of hypoglycemia. We look at the diet, and there's definitely dietary issues. Like we can see that there's going to be a likelihood that this person, based on their diet, is going to have hypoglycemia, right? But what you end up finding out is that their blood sugar can look perfectly normal. You can get a fasting glucose and even something called a hemoglobin A1C, which looks at a 3-month fluctuation of blood sugar. They can have the symptoms. They're hypothyroid, have symptoms of hypoglycemia, or even be pre-diabetic, but they're having all these issues. They can't figure out why. And what it comes down to is you just cannot use the blood sugar efficiently, so it builds up in the bloodstream. So because you can't use it, you have symptoms of hypoglycemia. Because it's building up in the bloodstream, you actually have you can have normal blood sugar, or you can be pre-diabetic, or even have type 2 diabetes, and still have hypoglycemic symptoms like low blood sugar. So you would think, well, my blood sugar's high, because here's what confuses most people, that they have symptoms of low blood sugar, yet their blood sugar is normal, or they're like pre-diabetic, and they're like, well, how can that be? I have normal blood sugar, my A1C is fine, so obviously I'm fine. It's not my blood sugar. But that is not an accurate assumption that you're making, because it's a little bit more complicated than that. You can have the normal quantities, but if of your blood sugar, you can have normal blood sugar, but because you have an inability or inefficiency at using your thyroid hormone, or because you're hypothyroid, you cannot get the sugar into the cell to use it. So it builds up in the bloodstream. So it may look normal on a lab test, but you have the symptoms. And there's a problem there. There's a problem with the metabolism of your glucose. So I just want to share this with you guys because it's so common. And blood sugar fluctuations are major issues if you're battling hypothyroidism, if you're battling any autoimmune condition. Because when your blood sugar goes up, guess what happens? Insulin rises. Insulin's produced by the pancreas. Insulin is a growth hormone. When insulin spikes, it actually drives up some of these inflammatory chemical messengers. Like one is called interleukin 6. I talk about cytokines a lot, which are they're immune system messengers basically, but we talk about them as inflammatory chemicals a lot of times, though they're not all inflammatory. And what it does, it drives this interleukin 6 higher, promotes inflammation, and it can promote autoimmunity. It also can cause problems with your thyroid hormone physiology, because anytime you drive inflammation, you're going to decrease the sensitivity of your thyroid hormone to the cells, because the cells will be less receptive to it. So I just want to share this with you guys. There's a lot more detail I could go in on so many different things here, but for brevity's sake and to keep this so that it's relevant and hopefully short enough for you to consume and digest, let's just say, listen, if you're hypothyroid, or if you don't have optimal thyroid hormone physiology, then there's very likely that you can have symptoms of low blood sugar, even though you have normal labs, or even being pre-diabetic or diabetic. There are problems there. You have to have normal thyroid hormone physiology and be able to utilize the thyroid hormone to be able to break down and use sugar for energy. So it's something that we really have to consider, and we have to look at clinically, and we have to address that if we're going to really help the person to feel better and get better. So Dr. Shakir, I really appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, if you need anything, let us know. If you're interested in learning more about labs, just post a comment below and say, hey, post a link to your guidebook. I'll post a link that will take you to our website where you can get our guidebook on the 9 tests required to understand your thyroid. It's a great place to start to kind of evaluate what's happening with your thyroid. If you're interested in a dietary and lifestyle-based program, we've put one of those together, and we have webinars about every day, and I'll be happy to make a link so that you can register for a webinar if you're interested to learn more about our dietary and lifestyle program. But I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, let us know. Just post a question below, and we'll do our best to get back to you. So I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.